This is my current trail bike, the Polygon Siskiu D5, and I don't plan on getting a new one anytime soon. Polygon Siskiu D5 is an amazing bike despite its small price tag. Now, for a budget bike, I think this is the best bike you could get. Although some of its individual components may not be top-notch, altogether, it is an amazing trail bike. Comparing it to some more expensive bikes, my Polygon hasn't had any major breakdowns. I haven't suffered any problems with my shifting, haven't even broken the hanger yet, even though I've been riding it for about half a year. I haven't had any problems with my brakes, they run perfectly, they don't even squeak. I haven't had any problems with my suspension, no leakage. So here are some of the features of the bike. Many of the parts on this bike are NTT branded, including the stem, handlebar, grips, and saddle and seat post. The D5's frame is made of an aluminum alloy, which makes it light, and its geometry is modern, which makes it feel really good on the trail. For suspension, the Polygon packs an SR Radon air shock in the back with a lockout option. In the front, we have an SR Suntour XCM30 with 120mm of travel. The drivetrain is sturdy and powerful on this bike, with Shimano components including an Alivo derailleur in the back and front, and a 9-speed cassette in the back, and a 3-speed cassette in the front. For stopping power, the Polygon has a set of Shimano's hydraulic disc brakes. These have never failed me and always provide an adequate amount of stopping. I know you didn't click on this video to hear about a bunch of numbers and specs, so let me show you what this thing can do. First thing on everyone's mind is probably drops. The Polygon handles drops very well, and although it's rated to a meter in height, I take it a little bit above that. This clip shows just how much the suspension is dampening my fall from a 4-foot drop. The front Suntour fork, being a Springer fork, isn't the best. It does do its job, but maybe this transition was a little bit too rigorous of a test. This test was a little bit more fair to really show you the suspension. Enough about suspension. Now let's talk about brakes. As I said previously, they are very powerful. And in these clips, I really put them to the test against these really steep slopes. Here I really put the Polygon's drivetrain to the test with a steep and off-camber climb. The Polygon's wide set of speeds allows you to ascend really easily and allows you to bomb downhill sections.
Don't stop. Yes, yes, yes. Go, 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 go. Holy crap.
Now it is time for some first-person action on the Polygon. Let's ride. Well, cool. Alright, before we get to the trails though, we have to do some street sesh. As I make my way to the trail, I want to talk to you guys about who this bike is really for. I think this bike is good for beginners and those transitioning to the intermediate level. As I said previously, this bike is only rated to up to a meter in height. If you're an intermediate rider, you should be looking to drops and jumps beyond that. Beyond the drops, this bike isn't really capable for the advanced riders. Although it is upgradable, which I'll talk about that in a second, I don't think it's rated for the super hard stuff. Like with any bike, the Polygon has its fair share of weaknesses, starting with this SR Suntour front fork. The front fork is a coil fork and it bottoms out easily. But the Polygon is upgradable, and if possible, you can upgrade it with this Recon RL RockShox fork. The tires on this bike were a real disappointment. They don't offer any real grip and they wear down easily. I would replace these with some Maxxis Aggressor tires. The next part is totally a preference thing. The reach on this stem is a little too much for me. I'm going to be replacing it with this Uno Advanced Project stem that's shorter. And of course, a dropper is always a nice upgrade. For the sake of this video, I want to see if the Polygon specs compared to those of bikes in a similar price range. Polygon comes in at $900. I first compared it to the $800 Trek Marlin 7, which has a RockShox in the front and a similar drivetrain. I then compared it to the GT Avalanche Expert, which was similar to the Trek, but $900. Then I compared it to the Specialized Ruse. This one performed the worst out of the three. It had a similar front fork, and all that made it stand out was that it was a fat bike. So, what's the verdict? Should you get this bike? And to that I say, absolutely. The Polygon Siskiu D5 is a perfect bike for beginners looking to get into the sport and intermediate riders to improve their skills. This bike will take you on amazing adventures without hurting your wallet. So that will conclude my intensive review of the Polygon Siskiu D5. If you guys enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing to MTB and hitting the notification bell. If you want to see more content like this and behind the scenes, go check out our Instagram at abmtb.yt. We'll see you next week. Keep shredding!